In a world where monsters strike without warning and humanity struggles to survive, one seemingly powerless man holds a secret no one expects. Itsuki starts at level 0, mocked, underestimated and overlooked, but with his incredible analysis skill, he can read, predict, and destroy anything in his path. This is the tale of how the weakest became the most feared. Monoliths plummet from the sky like cosmic guillotines, slanting into the city and igniting massive energy barriers. Within seconds, the atmosphere shatters as disaster beasts, extra-dimensional nightmares, swarm the streets to harvest souls. Amid the carnage, a father throws himself into the meat grinder to shield his son, dying instantly as the city dissolves into a blood-soaked hellscape. People are trampled and torn apart while a blue-flamed skeletal horror orchestrates the slaughter with cold indifference. It levels an energy blast at the boy's mother, who absorbs the lethal impact to save her son Itsuki, screaming for him to run as she perishes. That jagged memory jolts Itsuki awake, his face soaked in tears and sweat. His classmate Saya eyes him with mounting concern, while the resident Joker Rikuru mocks his midday nap. On stage, Commander Nento, the first awakened and former mentor to Legends, commands the room. He's here to forcibly evolve humanity, explaining that monolith contact is the only way to survive the coming extinction. A golden monolith erupts through the floor like a jagged tooth, sending the student body into a frenzy of hope. Itsuki's friends are vibrating with hype, but the boy himself is a statue of cold, unwavering intent. Saya's eyes flicker a predatory red. She senses the tectonic shift in his aura. Itsuki whispers that his payday has finally arrived. The line begins, and it's a parade of failure. Star athletes and geniuses touch the stone and get nothing but silence. Then comes Hikaru, the school's premier bottom feeder and bully. The stone reacts violently, surging with blue lightning as Hikaru levitates, his stats flashing above average on the HUD. He starts barking insults at the commander, high on his own minor ego trip, until Itsuki casually walks up and clamps a hand on his shoulder. Hikaru screams in a confused rage, but the crowd is too stunned by the line cutter to intervene. Itsuki reaches out. The moment his fingers graze the surface, the atmosphere thickens with a pressure that makes Nento's blood run cold. Itsuki visualizes the blue-flamed monster that ate his childhood, and the monolith responds with a nuclear-grade pillar of light. The energy doesn't just glow, it blooms into a gargantuan, reality-warping flower that swallows the entire campus, dwarfing Hikaru's little sparkler show. Nento realizes he's looking at an Orderer, the rarest class in existence. Inside the eye of the storm, Itsuki's system reboots. He's labeled an order breaker with a gift called Nirvana. His base stats are a pathetic 0, but Nirvana instantly triggers, dumping 200 points into every category. He doesn't need levels, he needs targets. As the light dies down, Itsuki emerges from the smoke, a human weapon with an 800-point total that leaves the faculty hyperventilating. Hikaru, drowning in salt and insecurity, tries to reclaim the spotlight. He launches a Silver Serpent lightning strike, screaming that Itsuki is still a loser. Itsuki doesn't even flinch. His system activates over mimesis, downloading Hikaru's entire moveset in real time. The lightning misses as Itsuki teleports behind the bully, whispering a cold reminder of his mortality. The analysis finishes, granting Itsuki the Thunder Wave skill and bumping his total power to 840. The crowd is paralyzed. Then, the sky turns charcoal and the rain begins to burn. A dark monolith drops like a hammer, signaling a high-tier invasion. While the students flee in a blind panic, Itsuki walks toward the impact zone with a predatory grin. His friends beg him to stay back, but he's already locked on. The smoke clears to reveal the same blue-flamed skeleton that murdered his parents 10 years ago. Compared to the god Itsuki has become, Itsuki wastes no time testing his stone and lightning skill, lunging at the skeleton monster with electric fury. Vowing to stop the body count, he detonates a lightning-infused punch that vaporizes the scenery and launches the beast. Choha stands paralyzed by the raw power, but Nento stays cold, warning that speed is a lie when the monster's passive skill ignites everything it touches with lethal blue fire. Rikuru and Seiya scream as the trap snaps shut, while Hikaru the bully laughs, enjoying the sight of Itsuki turning to ash. Itsuki's system kicks into overdrive, analyzing the incoming thermal wave as Choha panics, claiming even a level 10 awakened would be cinders. Searing pain triggers a trauma-fueled flashback to his mother's death in identical flames. Nento watches with clinical interest, sensing Itsuki's hidden ace. Engulfed in the inferno, the analysis completes, spawning a blue lotus that initiates a high-speed cellular reconstruction. He absorbs the skill, Black Ice Wall, spiking his stats into the stratosphere. Floating amidst petals of energy, Itsuki emerges fully healed, sending the crowd into a frenzy. Choha demands an explanation for this miracle, and Nento reveals Itsuki is a unique breaker, a regenerative anomaly. The skeleton lunges with a blue fire burst, but Itsuki manifests ice armor that shrugs off the heat like a light breeze. He counterattacks on a literal dragon of ice and lightning, brandishing a massive frost blade. With one surgical swing, he bisects the disaster beast at god-tier speed, vanishing and reappearing before the corpse even hits the ground. Hikaru's jaw drops as Choka questions if this kid is actually a rookie. Rikuru tackles him in a celebratory hug while Itsuki looks for Saya, only to learn she vanished, likely bruised by his sudden dominance. Nento orders a cleanup and claims Itsuki as his own. The commander drops Itsuki's full name, sparking rumors of a legendary mentorship. Rikuru flees the intense atmosphere as Nento corners the boy, sensing the dense, black hatred simmering in his soul. Itsuki recounts the horror from a decade ago when a beast slaughtered his parents. He survived only because an awakened intervened, but he was forced to watch his mother incinerated by blue fire. That day, he traded his soul for a vow of total demon extinction. Itsuki claims his tears are just fuel for the hunt. Nento offers him a slot in the Savior League, the world's elite tier, complete with a 10,000 gold salary and frontline glory. Itsuki ignores the money, craving only the slaughter of beasts. Nento explains the Savior tournament requires a top 100 finish, mentioning the record of 115,000 points held by Taiwajin, humanity's strongest light. Nento challenges him, but Itsuki doesn't just want to compete. He plans to eclipse Taiwajin entirely. Nento smiles, hoping a new sun will finally rise to end this war. They arrive at a monolithic structure, the gateway between worlds. Nento labels it the Rookie Graveyard, a training hell where monsters are constant. Taiwajin cleared it in 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Nento sets the ultimate stakes. Beat that record by 15 seconds, or forget about becoming his student. Inside the building, the crowd notices Nento and begins speculating about the rookie standing next to him. Itsuki wonders if this Taiwajin figure is truly famous, and checks a panel showing the stage's beast level as 10. Meanwhile, people in the crowd dismiss him as a rookie only, there to flirt with girls. Ignoring their chatter, Itsuki approaches the receptionist to register for the stage. She asks how many participants will enter, and he calmly replies it's just him. He waits silently, but the receptionist grows irritated, thinking he's joking given the stage's danger. The crowd laughs, assuming he's been rejected, but Itsuki clarifies he has no interest in her. Unconvinced, she offers her number to get him to leave. Coldly, he tells her to stop wasting time and just let him in. Startled, she hands in the bracelet, which he complains should have been done from the start. Observers call him foolish for being level 0 and attempting a level 10 stage, even with a special gift. Itsuki approaches the gate, scans his bracelet, and is approved as an awakened Tenma. Steeling himself, he declares he will complete the stage in under 3 minutes. The timer begins, and his power aura erupts as his eyes glow. Inside, Itsuki charges toward a massive monolith, alert to an approaching threat. A level 4 creature attacks, but he instantly summons an ice axe and cleaves it in half, taunting others nearby. Suddenly, a horde of identical creatures surrounds him. Outside, Choha questions Nento about letting a kid attempt such a stage. Noting surpassing Taiwajin seems impossible, Nento teases her choice of words, while Choha recalls Taiwajin's godlike cold eyes when defeating a level 97 beast. Nento explains that Itsuki has potential as a diamond in the rough, and while Taiwajin is a god, Itsuki is a demon fueled by hatred. Inside, Itsuki easily defeats the weaker creatures and finds them underwhelming. A larger shadowy monster emerges, but he defeats it effortlessly, wondering if this is the full challenge. The system activates, detecting regeneration, and analyzes the monster. Itsuki observes as it regenerates and attacks with vines, now level 10. He blocks the attack with a black ice wall, realizing he must deal overwhelming damage to stop regeneration. He dodges and slashes multiple vines with ice blades, then delivers a vertical strike, splitting the monster. It continues to move wickedly, undeterred. Determined, Itsuki separates the two halves with ice weapons, causing the creature to explode into fragments, but it begins regenerating again. The monster relentlessly attacks, but Itsuki notices the system's analysis percentage rising. He forms a plan to keep his distance and rely on lightning until the analysis completes. The percentage reaches 75%, but time is short, so he combines lightning and ice to accelerate it, remaining focused despite heavy hits. At 80%, with glowing red eyes, he accepts that falling would mean he wasn't strong enough. He gathers remaining strength for a final assault, only to be pierced and fully drained of mana. Just as defeat seems certain, the analysis reaches 99%. Recognizing that Mimesis requires no mana, he claims victory. The analysis completes, granting him Lotus Explosion, an area of effect skill that scales with mana, heals wounds, and increases stats by 20 points. Itsuki unleashes Lotus Explosion, disintegrating the monster into ash. Mimesis restores his mana and clears the area. Outside, the receptionist panics as the time runs out and Choha insists it's impossible for him to finish under 3 minutes. The challenge screen turns green, announcing a new record of 2 minutes and 14 seconds, stunning her. Exhausted but victorious, Itsuki exits, shocking the crowd by beating Taewujin's record by a full minute. Turning to Nento, he asks if he will now be his instructor, addressing him as professor. Nento praises him, and Shoka remarks she hasn't seen her father this happy in a long time. Though the crowd now understands the record, many still doubt Itsuki's potential. The receptionist apologizes for earlier rudeness, and Itsuki sincerely thanks her, leaving her flustered. Choha announces she is leaving with the commander, scolding Itsuki for getting cocky as a student. Nento suggests increasing the difficulty, telling Itsuki he can now challenge advanced stages, intriguing him. Walking, Nento explains that a beast's level isn't the sole measure of strength. Species matter, with some being as intelligent as humans. Choha adds that humans have jobs based on species, noting these are advanced stages, with Itsuki's next destination being District 4. With a dark expression, Itsuki asks if intelligent beasts feel pain, releasing a terrifying aura that unsettles Choha, who cannot comprehend his thoughts. The crowd whispers about District 4, warning that anyone who entered vanished due to a man named Rigi, and quickly silences those who speak his name, fearing consequences. Elsewhere, Rigi lounges while an old man polishes his shoes. A massive man asks when he will leave, and Reiji lazily responds that he will go whenever he feels like it, smirking and dismissing the idea that standing in line is for common folk. Meanwhile, Itsuki opens the box he received and discovers a shiny crystal, realizing it came from the moment during the stage. Curious, he shows it to Choha and asks if he has seen a karma stone before, explaining that a similar stone of a different color dropped after he defeated the beast. Pulling out a green crystal for comparison, he shocks Choha, who identifies it as an intermediate karma stone. She explains that karma stones, also called experience stones, form from a substance called karma that beasts release upon defeat, allowing Awakened to level up more easily. However, she notes it is unusual for such stones to form naturally. Nento suggests that Itsuki's gift is likely responsible, prompting Choha to ask about his leveling, which Nento confirms hasn't occurred. The commander theorizes that the karma from the school beast wasn't absorbed by Itsuki, but also didn't disappear. Instead, it was distributed among everyone present. Choha deduces that the creature's experience was split among the crowd, while in the stage the karma had nowhere to go and solidified into the crystal. When she asks how Itsuki's stats increase without leveling, Nento scolds her for being nosy and announces he is leaving for a conference, leaving Choha in charge of Itsuki. He issues 4 orders, including keeping everything secret and clear in 6 stages, which Itsuki accepts with a smile before bidding farewell to his new master. The scene then shifts to District 4, where several men in suits block other Awakened from entering a stage. 2 Awakened, angered by the restriction, learn that Reiji has booked a stage and his subordinates will not allow anyone else inside. One of them threatens to report this to the guild, only for a giant thug to appear from the shadows. He strikes one young man with incredible speed, following up with a brutal barrage that leaves him helpless and ultimately sends him flying. The thug activates an ability that hardens his skin like metal and charges at the second man, causing panic when the man's supposedly unstoppable earth spike skill fails. The giant slams him into the ground, knocking him unconscious, revealing himself as Takeru, one of Rory Kineseta's 4 pillars. He threatens anyone attempting entry without permission, warning they will meet the same fate. Though his companions urge caution, Takeru grunts and drops the injured man in disgust. At that moment, Itsuki and his group arrive, helping one of the fallen, prompting onlookers to assume the level 0 rookie is about to be punished. Takeru, enraged, shouts at Itsuki to leave unless he wants the same treatment. Understanding he must defeat Takeru to enter, Itsuki ignores Chaka's attempt to intervene, saying his master told him to do what he believes is right, and asks her to care for the injured. Kakeru, irritated by Itsuki's audacity, flares a red aura, boasting that he is level 12 with over 600 stat points, yet he feels tense under the pressure radiating from the boy. Itsuki charges forward, landing a punch squarely on Takeru's metallic face before he can react, stunning the crowd with his unreal speed for a level 0. Takeru compliments his speed, but claims he lacks power, throwing him away with a counterattack. Itsuki realizes he must activate Thunderwave to increase agility, and his system triggers Mimesis to analyze Takeru's metallization skill. Determined to fight seriously, Itsuki focuses on dodging attacks while targeting his opponent's vulnerable areas. He charges again at full speed, only for Takeru to mock him as weak, lacking both power and speed. Itsuki then unleashes Thunderwave, moving faster as lightning erupts around him, startling Takeru. A rapid barrage of electrified punches rains down, leaving the crowd baffled as he uses skills from another class. Takeru, desperate, calls for help from his goons, but none intervene. With no other option, he unleashes his strongest technique, fully transforming his body into metal, claiming his defense now exceeds 500 points and promising a quick, painless fight. Observers despair at what seems an impenetrable defense, but Itsuki deduces that the transformation consumes massive mana. Takeru is shocked by the rookie's sharp insight as the analysis reaches 100%. A blue lotus flower appears, signaling his growth, and Shoha realizes he has become stronger again. While people question how he plans to win with a skill that doesn't appear offensive, Itsuki learns Piercing Orb, an ability that ignores defense but moves slowly. Fully healed and empowered, he creates the orb and challenges Takeru to dodge it, prepared to turn the tide of the fight. The crowd is stunned as a level 0 skill pierces a level 12 defense. A small purple sphere floats slowly toward Takeru, who mocks its size, confident it can't harm him. Without warning, the sphere strikes his chest, passing through him and leaving him in pain. Itsuki explains he only aimed at the arm because Takeru was human, otherwise the attack would have been fatal. He orders the goons to take Takeru to the hospital, and they reluctantly comply. The crowd cheers, and Shoha expresses pride. The previously beaten fighters invite Itsuki to join their party, noting that beasts ahead have defenses as high as Takeru's. Itsuki declines, deciding to enter the stage alone to level up his new skill faster. They assume he is arrogant, and one leaves to find another group. Shoha worries about her mana, but Itsuki reassures her, prompting embarrassment. Before departing, Shoha warns that the stone beasts travel in large groups. Entering the stage, Itsuki is surprised by the massive number of monsters. Stone golems, level 9 and converting all their mana into defense, surround him. He prepares his piercing orb and tests its passive ability. The purple sphere appears in his hand, strikes a golem, and defeats it instantly, confirming the passive works. With multiple enemies surrounding him, he confidently uses his lightning ability, noting slow targets are ideal for his sphere. He defeats 2 more monsters, though his mana starts to dwindle. Only 3 enemies remain, and the stage boss has not yet appeared. He launches a high-speed sphere with the last of his mana to hit 2 monsters at once, throwing himself to the ground as a distraction. The attack pierces 1 golem and confirms both are defeated, increasing the spear's speed further. Exhausted, Itsuki collapses but later calculates the spear now travels at 5 meters per second with a maximum potential increase of 500%. Suddenly, the ground trembles as a giant foot crashes before him, kicking up dust. The stage boss emerges, activating Gigantification, revealing level 15 stats. Shocked, Itsuki uses lightning to boost agility and climbs the giant, aiming for its head to test his spear's power. However, he realizes the sphere may be too small to deal significant damage. The giant moves to strike him midair, leaving him unable to dodge. At the last moment, he activates his black wall to block the attack, but the impact sends him crashing to the ground, showcasing the boss's overwhelming strength. Even while under attack, he notes the boss is far tougher than anticipated, and his system begins analyzing the Gigantification skill. Elsewhere, a henchman answers a call and learns someone has defeated Takeru and entered the stage. Reiji snaps at him for being noisy. The henchman reports that no one above level 30 would attempt such a feat, making a level 10 rookie's victory impossible. Reiji becomes furious, chastises his subordinate, and orders them to move immediately to the stage, threatening consequences if delayed. Back in the stage, Itsuki's analysis reaches 100%, and a blue lotus flower appears on the giant's head, shining brightly. Though no new skill is gained, his piercing orb levels up, now capable of increasing in size and doubling the speed buff. Smiling, he decides to test this new power. His stats rise by 20 points and his body fully heals. Using all his mana, he forms the strongest piercing orb possible and launches it at the giant's head. The sphere pierces the monster completely, blasting a hole into the ground below. With his mana fully depleted, he jokes about having possibly overdone the attack. The system informs Itsuki that the golem has been defeated and the sphere's speed has doubled. Itsuki calculates that if he clears the stage 2 more times, his skill will be as fast as a car. Itsuki then realizes that the passive effects of his skills are extremely useful, especially since the Lotus Explosion increases the range of all his other abilities, making him dream of a future where he can attack enemies from miles away. Outside, the screen shows the challenge was completed in 3 minutes, shocking the crowd because a group of 5 would normally take over 10 minutes. They wonder how Itsuki is still level 0 and whether the announcement was a mistake. Shoha is impressed that he cleared the stage without a scratch and broke the record again, congratulating him on his speed, while Itsuki casually says it was easy since he could ignore defense. A jade butterfly lands on his finger, and Itsuki asks what it is, prompting Choka to reveal that she is a Shikigami user and that the butterfly belongs to her. Itsuki is mesmerized by the Shikigami's beauty since it is the first one he has ever seen, and he takes the opportunity to ask about the different types of jobs. Choha explains the jobs are divided into 4 main categories, starting with elementalists who manipulate one of the 7 elements of nature. She mentions that the school bully was a lightning elementalist and that Takeru, whom Itsuki defeated earlier, was a metal elementalist. The second type is Shikigami users, who summon creatures to fight on their behalf, and Choha explains that her Shikigami has been with her since birth because she awakened early. She asks if Itsuki has any questions about the first 2 classes, and Itsuki points out that her Shikigami is level 15 while she is only level 6. Embarrassed, Choha wonders if Itsuki lacks subtlety and explains that Shikigami also absorb experience and level up. With a dark expression, Itsuki concludes that targeting the human is easier in a fight, which scares Choha as she senses the negative aura coming from him. Itsuki then asks her to continue since only 2 classes have been explained. Choha reveals that the 3rd class is the most mysterious due to the lack of information, and that this class is Itsuki's own, the Order Breaker. She explains that the mystery exists because each Order Breaker has completely different abilities, including Breers who can manipulate body size or create infinite clones. She adds that the skills of this class are Z rank, surpassing even S rank, and that once an enemy learns an Order Breaker's ability, it becomes useless. She concludes that Itsuki is an irregular existence even among Breers. Itsuki notes that the professor is not around, so it is safe to talk, and asks about the final class. Choka teasingly builds suspense before smiling and saying it is punishment for Itsuki not telling her anything about himself. Itsuki accepts this, and she changes the subject, telling him that the student he saved is doing fine. When she asks what Itsuki plans to do next, he replies that he wants to clear more stages, but Choka warns him that stages have a cooldown of at least 2 days. Surprised, Itsuki realizes why Reiji is able to monopolize the stages and asks if there's a place with many monsters for leveling. With a mischievous smile, Choka says she knows the perfect spot and takes Itsuki to the Locust Desert, a place filled with over 1,000 monsters. She warns him that without an area of effect skill, it will be extremely difficult, but Itsuki accepts the challenge, remembering that he has not yet used Lotus Explosion in front of her. Despite her warning, Choha is surprised by Itsuki's confidence and allows him to go, while others believe he has a death wish and decide to leave. Sometime later, Reiji arrives but finds no one there, and his henchman reports that the target already left and cleared the stage in 30 minutes. Furious and feeling fooled, Reiji orders his men to call the hunting dog to track the mana filled with immense hatred, vowing to capture Itsuki alive and make him suffer. In a nearby alley, the young man who was beaten earlier hides and regrets accepting the mission, believing he has escaped and is safe, and as a giant red-eyed wolf suddenly appears, attacks him, and pins him down without giving him a chance to resist. A man steps forward and the terrified victim wonders how he was found as the hunter explains that his wolf, Death, has an exceptional sense of smell. The man introduces himself as Charles, and despite the young man begging desperately for his life, Charles coldly states that he cannot spare him because Reiji would be angry. With a sinister grin, he remarks that Death has not eaten human flesh in a long time and orders the wolf to enjoy its meal. Afterward, Charles congratulates his wolf for leveling up. As the screen shows, the Shikigami has reached level 16 and gained new abilities. He then receives a call, reports that the job is complete and the target erased, and learns that the next prey is heading toward the Locust Desert. Calling his wolf back to his side, Charles declares that a new hunt is about to begin. Meanwhile, Itsuki arrives at the stage and wonders if this is really the right place as he looks around and sees wheat fields stretching everywhere, making him doubt there could be that many locusts there. Choha explains that beasts choose environments they like to invade and warns him that this stage is so dangerous, there is not even a receptionist present. Itsuki finds it strange since the stage is only level 13, which is lower than the previous one, but Choha explains that the difference lies in how insanely aggressive the locusts are, because a single mistake can result in an awakened being surrounded by an endless swarm of insects and ultimately devoured until only a skeleton remains. Smiling, Atsuki says that a place overflowing with monsters is exactly what he wanted, and reassures her that he has no intention of becoming insect food anytime soon. Seeing his confidence, Choha watches him enter the stage portal alone and thinks that if he fails, it will not be her fault since she warned him about everything she knew. But then she suddenly remembers she forgot to mention the infinite respawn. Panicking, she decides to enter the stage to warn him before it is too late, only to turn around and find the hunting dog and his wolf standing in front of her. With a sinister smile, Charles says he is looking for someone there. Inside the stage, Itsuki complains about the mess and prepares for battle, calling out to the pest and declaring that it is time to start the extermination. A scarecrow in the middle of the field draws in a massive swarm of giant locusts, and the screen shows they are level 1 and 2, but still meet the requirements. Itsuki sees the absurd number of insects flying toward him and considers it perfect since it will make his job much easier, so he creates a fire lotus and prepares his area of effect skill. With his ice armor active, he waits for the insects to come closer before shouting and activating Lotus Explosion, unleashing a massive blast that sweeps across the field and annihilates hundreds of locusts at once. He stands calmly as the insects turn to dust, and the system confirms the kills, showing that his skill now has a range of 10.5 meters and has already accumulated 110%. He calculates that if he defeats 100 per shot, he could increase his range by 1,000% while barely using mana, and he briefly laments the cooldown of the previous stage. Suddenly, he realizes the challenge success notification has not appeared, and his system activates to analyze a new skill called Matriarch's Will. Wondering if any insects survived, he is answered when a fresh swarm of locusts bursts from the ground and charges at him, causing him to scold himself for assuming there would be no boss. With no choice but to continue, he wipes out another wave, increasing his bonus as his skill's diameter expands to 16 meters, impressing him with its growth. Even after multiple swarms, the boss still does not appear, and he soon notices locust eggs hatching underground, followed by yet another eruption of insects. The analysis reaches 27% as he keeps fighting, carefully managing his mana and calculating that he only has 9 more explosions left while maintaining his ice armor. Declaring that it does not matter how many times they return, he vows to exterminate every last locust that dares appear and unleashes another explosion, triggering a flood of notifications as the multiplier on his area skill climbed higher and higher. His Lotus Explosion eventually reaches a diameter of 54.5 meters, but after 9 waves he is left with mana for only one final attack, while the locusts continue endlessly and the boss still refuses to reveal itself. Frustrated, he briefly considers retreating but abandons the thought, declaring that such thinking belongs to losers, and with unwavering resolve he launches his final Lotus Explosion using every drop of remaining mana. Exhausted, he collapses to his knees only to realize that the number of locusts has not decreased at all, and with the analysis at 91%, he notices a pattern and understands that the boss's ability is infinite procreation. The screen reveals the Locust Queen, capable of laying eggs in massive quantities, and he realizes that unless he kills the source, the battle will never end. Through brainy analysis finally reaches 100%, a blue sphere appears, and he learns the skill Monosense, allowing him to feel the flow of energy with a detection range exceeding 1,000 meters. Smiling, he says the passive is perfect for farming this stage, but decides to finish quickly so as not to keep Choha waiting. His stats increase by another 10 points, he fully recovers, and the screen shows his total attributes have reached 1,120 points. Activating his Mana Sense, he locates the hidden Locust Queen and confidently launches his piercing orb, shouting that hiding is useless as the purple sphere flies at high speed and strikes the queen from 120 meters away, piercing her defenses completely. As the monster attempts to retaliate, Itsuki appears in front of it with lightning crackling around him, declares checkmate, and cleaves the queen in half with a single strike of his ice blade. With the queen defeated, the locust swarm descends into chaos, and he calmly tells them not to worry because they are about to join their mother. Repairing his flames, he exterminates the remaining swarm once and for all as his Lotus Explosion reaches a radius of 65.5 meters and his piercing orb range increases to 131 meters. Smiling in satisfaction, he says the harvest was excellent and that he cannot wait to return as the screen announces he broke the record with a time of 17 minutes and 7 seconds. Thinking Choha must be extremely worried and that he is about to get scolded, he finds her serious side cute and steps out of the portal to apologize, only for his eye to suddenly turn red as he senses something is terribly wrong. Outside, the hunting dog is holding Cho hostage by the neck. Charles immediately reveals that even though he tortured Chaho, she did not say anything about Itsuki. Seeing this, Itsuki yells for the bastard to keep his filthy hands off her, prompting the villain to laugh arrogantly and mock him as a rookie level 0 with his lightning active, causing Itsuki to charge at him with everything he's got, startling Charles. But before the blow lands, the wolf death leaps in front, taking the lightning punch for its master, triggering the system to analyze the B-rank Shikigami, and revealing that the man in the hat is a Shikigami user like Choo, climbing the analysis to 12% while Charles praises Itsuki's speed and remarks he now understands why Takeru lost but boasts about having both death and a hostage, forcing Itsuki to halt his attack to avoid harming Choa. which Death seizes as an opportunity to lunge at him, only for Itsuki to face the beast head on without defense and instead throw his piercing orb directly into the wolf's mouth, annihilating it and sending its head flying. The analysis shooting up to 77%, leaving Charles shocked and questioning whether the newbie even understands Shikigami's, as he brags that Death has a response skill and is already coming back, ordering it to devour the boy. But Itsuki activates his mana sense to predict attacks, dodges the wolf's bite, and continues the analysis, carefully avoiding revealing his own powers, causing Charles to tense up at his speed and detection skill. And when unable to land a hit, he threatens Choa to force a stop, buying Itsuki the time needed for the analysis to reach 100%, at which point he completes the copy and acquires the skill Shikigami Devar, enabling him to control B rank or lower Shikigamis by touch, gaining 20 stat points while the healing effect fails but is irrelevant since he already recovered. And now empowered, he targets Death, touches its head, and kicks it away, absorbing it under his control as it glows with a blue aura, enraging Charles, who complains about all the XP he wasted, and again threatens Choha, but she reassures Itsuki not to worry, allowing him to raise his hands in surrender while warning Charles not to touch her, prompting the villain to mockingly claim she wouldn't be hurt if he had just obeyed. While Itsuki questions why he's being targeted, learning Charles was sent by Reiji to capture him without permission, and realizing a talk with that rag guy is inevitable, Charles orders Death to rip Itsuki's legs off to prove its loyalty. But now bearing the lotus mark, the wolf bites its former master instead, allowing Itsuki to seize Choha and carry her to safety as Charles screams in pain, bewildered at his Shikigami's betrayal, while Itsuki praises the wolf and vows to make Charles pay 100 times over, ignoring the hunter's terrified pleas for mercy, before a massive pillar of ice erupts from the ground, striking Charles and demonstrating that his chance is over, while Itsuki warns that taking down Reiji is his job alone, not the wolf's, as Charles continues to cry and beg, only for Death, filled with pure fury, to lunge at him with red eyes ready to devour its old master, all while Itsuki notices Reiji still hiding nearby and a mysterious figure watches the chaotic scene unfold from the sidelines. The mysterious guy steps closer and says he has finally found them, but Itsuki immediately pulls Choa closer and coldly asks if he is friends with the guy the wolf just had for lunch, causing the stranger to panic as he insists he is not an enemy and only wants him to listen. Yet Itsuki could not care less and orders his wolf Death to follow him once it finishes its meal, shocking the man who realizes that even a raid dog obeys him and sees a chance to ask for help, quickly introducing himself as Ibiria and recognizing Itsuki as the one who defeated Takeru, then offering assistance in the form of creation stones and even weapons, only to be completely ignored as Itsuki keeps walking with the injured girl in his arms, leaving Ibiria confused since anyone else would jump at rewards like that, until he remembers his father once telling him that rewards must be useful, like medicine for the wounded or a blade for someone seeking revenge. And suddenly everything clicks as he runs after him with a smile, and warns that if he keeps walking so slowly the girl will not survive, revealing that he luckily has a healing item and can save her right now, making Itsuki stop and stare at him in disbelief as he asks if it is real, and Ibiria assures him that the healing is not instant but will definitely save her life, prompting Itsuki to lay Cha on the ground while Ibiria wraps her wound with the item, leading our hero to ask if it is an artifact, which makes Ibiria realize he is a complete newbie and explain that modern weapons are useless junk against disaster beasts, which is why artisans create artifacts divided into 4 categories, with common artifacts acting like basic weapons that can damage beasts and awakened, rare and epic artifacts boosting stats and sometimes granting special effects, and unique artifacts standing at the pinnacle with unbelievably powerful abilities, adding that artisans themselves are rare and highly respected, causing Itsuki to deduce that Iberia's father must be an artisan, only for Ibiria to start bragging that his old man created 3 of the 10 unique artifacts that exist across the 5 continents, and is therefore known as the King Artisan of the North, though he quickly gets annoyed when Itsuki shows no interest at all, since Itsuki is instead analyzing the crossbow Charles left behind, and thinking about how to use it to conserve mana, at which point Ibiria explains that the crossbow is a rare artifact that generates its own ammunition, and when it suddenly vanishes he clarifies that artifacts can be stored in subspace, after which Itsuki thanks him for the healing and states that he now needs to find Reiji, startling Ibiria since opposing Reiji in District 4 is an incredibly bold move, but he reveals that they actually share the same target, and when Itsuki asks why, Ibiria invites him to team up for the Saviors Tournament, confusing Itsuki until he learns that the qualifiers will be held in District 4, which is Reiji's territory, and as the boss's son Ibiria needs to qualify without embarrassing his family, which is why Reiji is monopolizing the stages, leading Itsuki to question why he should team up with him, prompting Ibiria to seriously explain that since childhood, he watched his father forge legendary artifacts and dreamed of becoming an awakened who could fight using his father's creations, but when he awakened a month ago and asked for an artifact his father refused, eventually giving him a condition that he must pass the qualifiers first, causing Ibiria to shout with fierce determination that he will pass the tournament no matter what, while Itsuki points out that with such a famous father he should not need help from a level 0, only to learn that his father forbade him from using his name to seek aid from powerful people, and that Reiji has already bought out nearly all the strong participants, which is why Iberia tracked down the newbie who defeated Takeru, leading Itsuki to agree to the partnership on the condition that Choa is taken to a hospital first, sending Iberia into excited rambling as he tries to think of a name for their duo while Itsuki internally decides he is a massive pain since he talks even more than his friend Rikuru, shifting the scene to Rikuru and Seiya training elsewhere as Rikuru suddenly sneezes and assumes someone is talking about him, while Seiya asks how long it has been since the attack and whether he is okay, only to be teased for worrying so much about Itsuki and not visiting him, which makes her blush furiously before attacking Rikuru with her water ability, leading him to complain about a low blow as she claims it was his fault for lowering his guard, until their master appears and orders them to stop fooling around because the tournament is approaching, with Seiya excited to fight other awakened and Rikuru eager to check out District 4, before the scene cuts to Reiji opening a briefcase full of creation stones as he notes with irritation that the Hound is late, angrily using a stone to gain experience while calling it useless junk, and ordering his men to forget about the Hound since the qualifiers matter more, receiving a report that they have already recruited 87 participants, which satisfies him as he declares himself the only reliable one among them, then uses the final stone to level up to 12 and prepares himself to crush all those peasants. Outside a hospital, Itsuki stands before Nento and apologizes, saying it was his fault that Chaha got hurt like that. Nento asks if he wants him to take care of the one responsible for everything, but with a determined look, Itsuki replies that Reiji is his problem to deal with. The mysterious man agrees and tells him to fill him in on the details later, understanding why the boy was not impressed by his father since the commander is his true master. Later, Itsuki tells Cha that he is entering the tournament with Iberia, and she replies that she has already recovered thanks to her butterfly and the rare artifact. The mysterious man notices the bandage and deduces that Iberia is Aiden's son, shocking Iberia that he knows about artifacts and even his father. Flustered, Iberia confidently smiles and accidentally says that he is actually Aiden's father before realizing his mistake, becoming completely embarrassed and correcting himself by saying that Aiden is his father. Nendo thanks Itsuki for saving his daughter and says he will visit him later, then tells both of them to get ready because he and Choa will be watching the tournament. Excited, the boys say their goodbyes and promise they will pass the qualifiers, while Cha comments that her father really seems to like Itsuki. Nento then reveals that because of his trauma, Itsuki has a strong self-destructive streak, but that impulse weakens when he has someone nearby to protect, which is why the commander placed his own daughter by Itsuki's side, making her mission to become both the person he wants to protect and his greatest weakness. He also reveals that the attack at the school was not an accident but carefully planned, and although the future of humanity looks bleak with traitors increasing in number, he believes Itsuki will one day become the true beacon of hope. The next day, the Saviors Tournament begins in District 4, shocking everyone as the turnout suddenly doubles. Reiji is furious because Old Man Nento's visit ruined his plans, while Rikuru and Saya notice Reiji's allies wearing red armbands and wonder if it is a new trend. A man named Soryu steps onto the stage and explains the rules, announcing that the arena is split into 2 areas with each team starting at different points, and that the first phase is a race to the inner area, with bracelets recording time and rankings, a rule Rikuru finds brutal since thousands will be eliminated. Iberia points at a large screen as the announcer adds that participants may bring 2 tools, while Reiji secretly orders his goons to sabotage anyone who gets ahead of him. Iberia forms a plan to reach the inner area and ambush Reiji, but his jaw drops when Itsuki, having not heard a word, casually walks up to Reiji's group and stares them down just as the announcer declares the start of the first stage. Soryu is pleased by the number of participants but notes that quantity does not mean quality, and a man named Akira comments that back in his day, there were participants over level 15. But in his year only he and the famous Taiwajin competed, calling the current tournament boring without a rookie like Taiwajin. Soryu remarks that geniuses are rare and asks about Nento's new student who defeated a skeleton, which the disguised commander confirms is true, making Akira excited to meet the new prodigy and ask where he is. Soryu searches on his tablet, dismisses Rikuru for having a mediocre metal gift at only level 10, rules out Seiya for being a support elementalist, and assumes the student must be a girl named Henyu with an abnormal level 16. Finding it strange she has the highest level, while Nendo does not seem to care. Akira then asks if any level 0s are participating and learns that there is one, while nearby Reiji and his goons mock Itsuki for being level 0. With a cold gaze, Itsuki summons his crossbow and stares them down, causing Reiji to recognize the weapon and realize who he is dealing with. Itsuki calmly states that he knows Reiji has been searching everywhere for him, enraging Reiji who cannot believe a level 0 defeated his henchman Takeru, ordering his lackey to grab the kid and make him regret it. Without hesitation, Reiji releases his lightning, claiming he has no time to waste, while Akira notices the situation and tells the goons to surrender, suggesting they might be spared. Iberia grows tense, realizing that even taking one down would not be enough, and prepares to use his secret trump card, but one of Reiji's goons approaches and mocks Itsuki for being level 0. With a cold expression, Itsuki simply tells him to get out of his way, shocking the goon who bursts out laughing, while Akira admires his personality and says he will save him if he is about to get beaten. The goon charges forward, boasting that he will crack the kid's head open, but Itsuki only smirks and braces himself before landing a solid punch straight into the goon's face, sending him flying. With the same cold glare, Itsuki repeats his words, telling him to get out of his way, leaving Akira stunned as he realizes Itsuki just defeated an enemy 7 levels stronger with a single blow. The group of henchmen panic, unsure how the events unfolded, but one claims it was merely a lucky shot. The masked man, furious, activates a B-rank skill, flamethrower, attacking with terrifying speed. Iberia, witnessing the attack, panics, realizing there is no time to use his artifact. One henchman mutters that the level 0 kid brought this trouble upon himself by acting tough, but another senses something is off. As flames engulf the area, Itsuki emerges unharmed behind his black ice wall, leaving Iberia stunned at his ability to withstand such a massive fire explosion. With a cold expression, Itsuki tells Iberia to step back so he does not get in the way. The screen confirms that Itsuki successfully blocked a B-rank fire skill and that his defense increased by 10%. Curious, Itsuki decides to test whether the passive of his black ice wall activates again when blocking the same skill twice. The masked henchman is shocked, wondering how Itsuki can use ice when there is no water elementalist present. Itsuki calmly challenges him to attack again, claiming that this time he will not even defend himself. Thinking it is a bluff, the man accepts the challenge, while Itsuki confirms it with an almost cute expression. Determined to end everything, the henchman unleashes his strongest fire ability. Itsuki remains perfectly still, thinking that even with increased power, it is still only a fire skill. The henchman's allies laugh nervously, saying that with this much power, the masked man rivals a level 8. Having completely drained his mana, the henchman scoffs that it was a waste to use it on a level 0, and declares the fight over, only to scream in disbelief moments later when nothing happens. Itsuki realizes that the passive of his black ice wall does not stack when blocking the same skill. With his test complete, Itsuki turns toward the remaining henchmen and coldly announces that it is time to end this foolishness. One brute acknowledges the strength of the ice skill, but claims he has already figured out Itsuki's weakness, then unleashes his B-rank skill flame barrier with everything he has. Itsuki mockingly asks if they really plan to win through numbers and activates his black ice wall once more. A massive explosion erupts as fireballs collide with the defense. The brute assumes a level 0's mana pool is insignificant and plans to exhaust Itsuki, but after the smoke clears, he is horrified to see Itsuki standing right in front of him. The distance was closed in an instant, and Itsuki notes that the passive only activated once from the fireballs. The brute boasts that if Itsuki's strength is speed, then his own is brute force, only for Itsuki to sarcastically ask if he is even using any force at all. Declaring that he will end his suffering, Itsuki strikes him with a single blow and sends him flying. The screen shows that Itsuki's defense only increased by 3 points, leading him to realize the calculation is based on base defense. Turning to the last two enemies, Itsuki identifies them as lightning elementalists and decides to use them to level up his skill. With a chilling stare, Itsuki asks if they truly believe they can escape. The two henchmen immediately fire their silver serpent skills, one of them shouting that he will take Itsuki down with him. The screen reveals that both skills are absorbed, increasing Itsuki's agility by 10% in total. With both enemies knocked to the ground, Akira wonders who this person is who defeats everyone so effortlessly. Itsuki realizes that the Thunder Wave's passive functions the same way as the Ice one, activating only once per target. Iberia looks at the unconscious men and remarks that Itsuki knocked them all out. Smiling in disbelief, Iberia admits he thought the fight would be difficult and never imagined Itsuki was this strong. One barely conscious henchman demands to know who Itsuki really is, certain he is not a level 0, while Iberia asks about the skill. Approaching with a sinister grin, Iberia asks a strange question that leaves Itsuki confused before proudly declaring that together they are the double-eye duo and will become the strongest in the north. Itsuki ignores him, drags him along, and says they need to go after Kainashida, prompting the blonde to complain. The remaining conscious henchman is baffled by the duo's name and thinks it sounds ridiculous. Far away, a man with glasses notices the disturbance and assumes the so-called level 0 must be finished by now, but remembering Charles's crossbow, he decides to investigate later, noting that outside the Alliance there are very few in the north capable of capturing Charles. Elsewhere, another participant overtakes someone and brags about his speed compared to the brutes, only to be struck by a sudden purple lightning bolt and scream in agony. Collapsing to the ground, he wonders who attacked him while he was running at full speed. The man with glasses steps on his head with contempt, purple lightning crackling over his body, and coldly says that is what happens when someone runs in front of him. He orders his group to conserve their energy and not waste time on trash like that. Meanwhile, Chaho observes the arrogance of the District 4 administrator's son. But since he is not breaking any rules, nothing can be done, as the rich kid boasts about his stamina while his men clear the path, confident he will easily pass the second phase of the tournament. The scene shifts to the inner area where participants have already gathered, waiting for the next challenge. Reiji arrives first and brags loudly about how easy it was. Suddenly, a mysterious voice calls Reiji's name and a blue lightning bolt tears through the sky toward him. Startled, Reiji turns around and is shocked by what he sees. His henchmen panic, one of them recognizing the approaching level 0 rookie. In the rain, Itsuki appears alongside Iberia, leaving the henchmen stunned that it is really him. Reiji cannot believe the two of them alone defeated his entire group and mocks them, claiming his men must have been bribed. Iberia thinks Reiji only made it there because of Itsuki, who defeated everyone along the way. Annoyed, Raiji says he is busy and will leave someone behind to entertain them while he moves on, then angrily orders his remaining henchmen to seize Itsuki and Iberia and finish them. One man scoffs at Itsuki and says he will teach him manners the hard way. Iberia panics upon seeing there are at least 100 enemies, but Itsuki calmly tells him to just cover his ears. Itsuki then releases a devastating lightning shockwave that slams into all the surrounding henchmen. Reiji watches with complete disdain, unconcerned about his men, as the shockwave sends them flying and clears the entire path. Iberia is left speechless by Itsuki's overwhelming power, and Reiji cannot believe his eyes. Itsuki coldly remarks that it seems his previous words were not clear enough, then faces Reiji with unwavering resolve and vows that he will not let him go anywhere. Meanwhile, Rikuru and Saya arrive in the inner area, taking 4th and 5th place, shocked to realize that even though they were fast, others were even faster, with Gaku in 3rd, Agakami in 2nd, and Hainyu, a level 16 girl, taking 1st place. As they begin worrying about Itsuki, they suddenly see someone flying through the air, causing Saya to gape in disbelief, and moments later Iberia crashes violently into the ground in 6th place, completely battered and only able to scream Itsuki's name. At first the others doubt what they heard, but Rikuru recognizes the silhouette and confirms without question that it is Itsuki. With a serious expression, Itsuki confronts Reiji and declares he is not going anywhere. From the VIP box, Soryu wonders why the rookie is so fixated on Reiji, while Nendo tells Akira to step in and help the boy if things turn dangerous. And elsewhere, Soryu observes the incredible speed on display and questions whether he could ever reach that level. One of Reiji's goons grows irritated and tells Itsuki to prepare himself, mocking that this is not a battle but a 100 versus 1 execution meant to erase him, but Itsuki calmly replies that revenge is his top priority. Enraged, Reiji orders everyone to attack at once and the henchmen charge forward, one rushing in with a fire-infused punch and claiming Itsuki's head, only for Itsuki to catch the flaming fist barehanded, shocking everyone before throwing the attacker over his shoulder and smashing him headfirst into the ground, defeating him instantly. The remaining goons tremble in fear, unable to comprehend how someone labeled level 0 could do this, as Itsuki activates the system and unleashes his Lotus skill, causing a massive fire explosion to engulf the arena, sweeping through the henchmen and sending bodies flying in all directions. Rikuru, Saya, and the other competitors stare in disbelief while Hainyu watches in stunned silence, and in the VIP box Soryu cannot believe a level 0 accomplished something like this using another class's skills, while Choha finally understands where Itsuki's confidence comes from, recalling his devastating area of effect ability back in the desert. Itsuki reveals he used only 30% of his power so he would not completely wipe everyone out, then stands amid the smoke and fallen enemies with glowing blue eyes and declares to Reiji that now it is just the two of them. Reiji is overwhelmed with fear, unable to grasp how more than 100 people were defeated so effortlessly, as Itsuki coldly promises to return every ounce of pain his friend suffered. Furious and desperate, Reiji fires his thunder cannon and shouts that they are on completely different levels, but Itsuki easily dodges and strikes him in the back, forcing Reiji to scream for his bodyguard 40, a level 35 fighter, to save him. From the sidelines Reiji smirks, convinced the kid is about to be turned into minced meat, but Nento immediately orders Akira to move and Akira obeys without hesitation. Itsuki senses someone approaching at high speed and realizes another powerful presence has entered the battlefield as a massive figure lands with a heavy thud, kicking up dust, while Itsuki calmly observes, and Akira grabs one of Reiji's remaining goons and tells Itsuki to continue. Filled with pure hatred, Itsuki declares that Reiji's lifeline has just run out, and when Reiji tries to intimidate him by invoking his family name, Itsuki roars and slams him into the ground, knocking him unconscious. Declaring that this was for Kao, Itsuki causes her to blush in the VIP box, which Soryu immediately notices and questions, before Itsuki deliberately pauses the system analysis at 99%. On the other side of the arena, Saya shouts Itsuki's name upon seeing him victorious, and he turns in surprise to see Saya and Rikuru running toward him as Saya urges him to come inside and get out of the rain, tearfully worried he might catch a cold. The system announces that Itsuki placed 7th in the first phase, and Iberia and Rikuru rush over to hug him in relief, though Rikuru quickly grows irritated with Iberia and glares at him. Smiling proudly, Iberia introduces himself as Itsuki's new partner, prompting Rikuru to call him a traitor and Saya to find it strange that Itsuki is making friends so easily, and when Rikuru asks for the team name and challenges him to say it, Iberia proudly declares Duo A, only for Itsuki to tell him to stop while Rikuru laughs and calls the name lame. From the stage, Soryu announces that the first 500 participants have passed and the rest are eliminated, explaining that the second phase will involve everyone fighting alone for 1 hour, leaving Iberia horrified at the thought of facing beasts by himself, while in the VIP box Akira is visibly excited, eager to see what they are capable of next. The tournament advances to its second phase as the screen displays the top 7 finishers from the first stage, followed by the reveal of a gigantic arena prepared for the next challenge. And as the group heads toward the entrance, Rikuru comments that the place feels creepy, while questioning whether his friend's level is really 0, prompting the bespectacled friend to wonder how he gets stronger without leveling up, only for Itsuki to respond with a quiet smile that irritates Saya, who tells them to stop paying him any attention. Before the sudden appearance of the tournament judges draws everyone's focus as Soryu asks if they are ready, causing Iberia's jaw to drop when he recognizes who has arrived and the crowd to erupt at the sight of legends like Soryu and the veteran Akira, after which Soryu explains the rules of the second stage, stating that points vary depending on monster difficulty and that each victory grants a 1-minute rest before the next round, while the brute Gaku confidently declares he will go straight for the Nightmare class, leading Itsuki to raise his hand and ask whether Nightmare class is the maximum difficulty, drawing scoffs from spectators who assume the rookie is about to back out, though Akira finds the question intriguing and smiles as Soryu explains that in theory there is no upper limit to the difficulty, even if Rikuru thinks anything beyond Nightmare is pointless, and when Soryu reveals that today's points will count toward the main tournament, the group grows excited as Iberia declares he will need to use his trump card, while Itsuki recalls Tiwagen's legendary record of 115,000 points before the announcer orders everyone into the arena, where Itsuki finds himself alone and notes the arena resembles previous stages just as a pack of level 1 raid dogs appears, prompting him to activate his black ice and wipe them out instantly, shocking Soryu when the system announces it took only 1 second, as Akira remarks from the VIP box that Itsuki is far more interesting than expected, irritating Soryu. And the next opponent soon emerges as a level 8 fire monster that Soryu believes poses little threat, while Soryu observes that most participants are still struggling with beginner monsters except Hanahainu, and when the giant salamander engulfs Itsuki in flames, Chaho panics and Soryu nearly calls for medical support before Akira stops him, trusting the boy, and as the flames subside, Itsuki activates his black ice to withstand the heat and slices the monster cleanly in half with his ice blade, earning 500 points in 5 seconds, leading Akira to question why he intentionally took the hit, only for Itsuki to explain that he is using these moments to increase his stats as the screen reveals his defense has reached 434 points, after which he ignores the rest period and continues testing himself when an electric rhinoceros appears, identified by Soryu as an alloy rhino whose horn could pierce awakened fighters or paralyze them with lightning, making speed and timing essential. Yet to everyone's shock, Itsuki calmly walks up and touches the horn to test his defense, enraging the beast into releasing all its electrical energy in a single blow that sends him flying high into the air, horrifying Chaho, while Akira calmly comments that Itsuki's actions are unpredictable yet consistently effective, as an explosion of ice shields him and the system announces a 5% agility increase, at which point Itsuki opens his red eyes, declares it is time to settle things, and activates Thunderwave to boost his agility by 50%, allowing him to dodge the charging beast, counter with his ice blade, defeat it in 7 seconds, and earn 1,000 points, impressing Akira, who believes Itsuki has not yet shown his full power, before Soryu warns that the next monster is the most dangerous yet, a level 15 predatory giant with claws that tear enemies apart instantly, a massive mouth that spews iron chains and devours everything, and a body covered in exoskeleton armor, making it the strongest beast of the preliminaries, and as the monster emerges and glares at him, Itsuki activates his piercing orb, unleashing purple energy that pierces straight through the beast and boosts the skill's speed by 200%, leaving the judges in the VIP box speechless as the screen shows the orb's speed skyrocketing to 900%, and in just 3 seconds Itsuki defeats the monster, earns 5,000 points, and advances to the next challenge, cementing his overwhelming growth, ruthless efficiency, and terrifying potential in the eyes of the entire arena. A monster shoots a powerful stream of water from its mouth, while Seiya uses her water bullet to advance to the next class. Brute Gaku skips the rest period to arrive first, and Hanyu opts to recover her mana before continuing. Suddenly, the screen announces the Nightmare class was cleared in just 21 seconds, leaving everyone stunned and questioning who achieved such a feat. Itsuki, victorious, declares it's time to move on. In the VIP box, Soryu is in disbelief over the boy defeating a level 15 giant. Akira, smiling, urges them to increase the difficulty to test how far the kid can go. The second stage begins with 2 predatory giants charging with full force. Unfazed, Itsuki targets one immediately, defeating it with his piercing orb and increasing its speed. Soryu is stunned, wondering if Itsuki's skill has any limits, but Akira reveals that the ability does have a fatal flaw. The second giant suddenly rushes forward at absurd speed, startling Itsuki as it proves faster than any monster before. Akira explains that giants are often mistakenly believed to be slow due to their size. Without hesitation, Itsuki prepares another piercing orb as the monster closes in. Akira adds that giants do not use mana, but their physical stats are far superior, and the screen displays that the monster possesses a total of 940 stat points. The giant dodges the purple orb with ease, shocking Itsuki. Nento realizes the orb is slow at mid-range and that Itsuki only managed to land his earlier hit by exploiting the beast's roar as an opening. The giant retaliates with a devastating punch that slams Itsuki into the arena floor, creating a massive crater and sending debris flying everywhere. As the dust settles, Itsuki realizes the piercing orb can be dodged at mid-range. Soryu comments that if Itsuki is using a skill he knows will not hit, then he must be out of options. Smiling confidently, Itsuki says that if the beast is fast, then he will simply get closer. Activating his Thunder Wave, Itsuki charges straight at the giant. His speed skyrockets, allowing him to effortlessly dodge every attack. Lightning surrounds the battlefield, and the giant cannot land a single hit. In the VIP box, the girl with glasses is stunned by Itsuki's agility. Soryu panics, believing the attack power is far stronger than the rhinos, but Nento stops him from calling the rescue team and urges him to wait. Akira agrees, stating that power is meaningless if it cannot hit its target. The giant's fist stops mere inches from the ground, missing Itsuki completely, and the creature drops to its knees, unable to continue fighting. With a smirk, the giant beckons Itsuki closer, but Itsuki boldly leaps forward and lands a piercing orb directly on the monster's head. With lightning still active, he delivers the final blow, and the purple energy pierces through the giant's skull, ending the fight. The system announces that the Itsuki earns 10,000 points in just 12 seconds. In the VIP box, Kaho shouts Itsuki's name. Thrilled, Soryu finds her excitement unusual and remarks that it is rare to see her so animated. Embarrassed, she brushes it off, claiming she was merely cheering. Soryu grows awkward at the scene and comments that she has become more talkative. Akira asks why Itsuki focused on dodging the giant's attacks. It is explained that Itsuki's normal speed is comparable to the giant's, but once he activates his electricity, his speed increases dramatically, making the monster's attacks ineffective. Soryu notes that Itsuki has already secured first place with his points, but Itsuki declares that to surpass the strongest man, he cannot stop now. With determination burning in his eyes, he shouts that he will not stop, not even for a second. The third stage begins, introducing 3 predatory giants. Itsuki immediately defeats the first monster with a single shot from his purple orb. Akira smiles impressed as this is exactly what he expected from Itsuki. Soryu recalls that Akira once reached stage 4 in a single run and wonders how Itsuki will fare, knowing that stage 3 is his current limit. One of the giants attacks with full force, but Itsuki dodges the punch, causing the monster to smash the ground instead. Activating his Thunder Wave, Itsuki closes the distance and defeats the second giant with his piercing orb, further increasing its speed. For the final giant, Itsuki announces that he will use a different strategy. He launches himself forward and is swallowed whole by the last giant in the arena. Believing it has won, the monster clamps its jaws shut and celebrates its victory. Inside the creature, Itsuki's eyes glow red as he declares that he will tear it apart from the inside. A massive fire explosion erupts and completely consumes the giant, leaving nothing behind. The system reports that the skill's range has increased by over 1100%, and with this victory, he earns 15,000 points in just 13 seconds of combat. From the VIP box, Soryu is stunned because the boy used the very same skill he showed during the first phase. The flames sweep across the arena, erasing every trace of the final giant. Itsuki is left exhausted as his mana is completely depleted, but he knows his skill's passive will restore his energy quickly. The fourth stage begins, and now 4 giants appear at once to face him. Soryu remarks that if he clears this stage, he will surpass even Akira in his younger days, while Akira watches anxiously, eager to see how far the boy can go. Itsuki realizes that as the orb's speed increases, its accuracy also improves, and with a few more boosts, he will be able to strike the monsters from a distance. However, he is fully aware that his mana is limited and that he cannot afford to miss even a single shot. Suddenly, one of the giants spits chains from its mouth, wrapping around him and restraining his movement. He is caught completely off guard, having never expected chains to emerge from a monster's mouth. The giant yanks him forward and slams him with a devastating punch, sending him crashing into the arena wall with tremendous force. Unable to move, he is seized again and finds himself in a critical situation as the giant tightens its claws around him, preparing to finish him off. Under the crushing pressure, his body begins to give way, and the sheer force is so great that the giant punches a hole straight through the arena. Itsuki collapses onto the ground, battered, broken, and seemingly out of strength. Panicking, Soryu urges Akira to step in and save him before it is too late. Akira hesitates, wondering if this is where the boy's journey ends, recalling a time when he himself was defeated in battle. Without further thought, he prepares to enter the arena, but Neno suddenly stops him, insisting that the boy has not given up yet. Chaho panics, fearing that if they do not intervene immediately, he will be finished. Nento calmly explains that he can sense the boy still has an ace hidden, confusing Soryu, until the commander clarifies that he knows because of the boy's eyes that do not belong to someone who has accepted death. Filled with pure fury, Itsuki declares that there is no way he is going down here. He recalls how, during his fight with Raiji, he began analyzing a skill but deliberately stopped the process at 99%. At that moment, the analysis finally reaches 100%, and he states that he has been waiting for this very moment. The girl with glasses notices the blue lotus and questions what use it could be now, prompting Akira to find her reaction strange and wonder if she already knows something. The newly completed skill allows him to absorb lightning attacks and boosts his agility by 100%, while also enhancing his stats and fully restoring his health. A blue lotus blooms and envelops him, healing all his wounds instantly, and he declares that the warm-up is over and it is finally time to fight seriously. Soryu is left speechless as he realizes the boy recovered faster than any healer. Empowered by his new abilities, Itsuki effortlessly defeats the remaining giants of the fourth stage, and the screen announces that he has cleared it and earned 20,000 points. Without hesitation, he strikes down another giant using his piercing orb, which now travels at 27 meters per second. Before advancing further, he clears the monsters of the fifth stage and earns 25,000 points, then crushes 6 more giants in the sixth stage, earning an additional 30,000 points. In the VIP box, the judges are completely speechless, worn down by the sheer intensity of the battle. The arena itself has transformed into a hellscape, piled high with the corpses of defeated giants. Itsuki finally collapses onto the ground, wondering why no more monsters are appearing. Soryu is still in shock, admitting he never imagined anything like this could happen. With no other option left, he presses the emergency button to halt the challenge and announces through the microphone that the test is over, revealing that the boy has defeated every single giant they had prepared. Soryu exclaims that he took out all the giants, leaving Itsuki confused since he thought there was no limit to the stage. Exhausted, Itsuki wonders how many points he scored and hopes to close the gap with Tiwajin, though he is pleased to see his piercing orb speed has increased to 30 mmds faster than a car, with his blue aura still active. Staring at the empty arena, Itsuki's glowing eyes hint at his contemplation. Suddenly, he recalls a crucial detail. Since he doesn't level up, the monster's experience turns into karma stones. Soryu is shocked by the appearance of a blue stone, and Nento explains its formation. Akira realizes the advantage it provides, while Soryu is terrified by Itsuki's power but relieved that he is human. With a smile, Itsuki picks up the karma stone, declares his objective complete, and heads toward the arena exit as the massive metal door begins to open. On the other side, Soryu informs the others that Itsuki is emerging, and the scoreboard shows he scored 106,000 points, securing first place. Soryu praises him and offers an instructor to train his potential, but Itsuki declines, saying he already has a master. Despite Soryu's insistence, Akira intervenes, telling him to stop pestering Itsuki, and explains that he only punished rule breakers. He also reveals he is a student of Nento, which surprises Soryu. Itsuki thanks Akira and Nento confirms the information, leaving Soryu further shocked. Itsuki then greets his master who was present, and Nento congratulates him, offering to call Seiya if he is injured. Chaho takes offense at the suggestion, while Itsuki assures everyone he just needs rest to recover. Soryu realizes that another student of Nento also cleared stage 2, prompting Itsuki to ask if Tiwajin reached stage 6 of the tournament. Nento explains that the second phase has only truly begun for the others. In another arena, Rikuru finishes a difficult class and abandons nightmare mode. Saya uses her water sphere but runs out of mana and cannot continue. Itsuki is surprised, but Nento cautions him not to judge the others. He then inquires why they didn't leave, and the old man explains the rules. Akira notes that other participants reached nightmare mode with his artifact. Gaku manages to defeat a purgatory giant, while Akagami is attacked by a monster, prompting her cat to transform into a complete and terrifying form with red eyes. The Shikigami defeats the monster with a single punch. Itsuki compares it to Chaho's butterfly, but the girl explains it cannot do the same. Itsuki reflects on how powerful Shikigamis are and remembers his own dog. Seeing his friends have left, he decides there is no reason to stay, but suddenly notices unusual activity in another arena. Abiria has activated red armor, which Itsuki recognizes as a gift from his father. Abiria reveals it is his father's strongest epic armor, which increases attack and agility every minute and has a will of its own, though it can only last 15 minutes. His stats increase by 120 points, and he charges at the monster, motivated by the announcement and determined not to disappoint his new partner. Itsuki observes Abiria and notes he looks stylish in battle. Suddenly, a voice announces the second phase of the tournament is over. Soryu explains that only the top 10 advance, with the top 2 receiving a prize. On the ground, Gaku arrogantly considers himself the reward's owner. The old man prepares to announce the top 10 finishers, and the final scoreboard reveals Itsuki in first place by a huge margin, shocking the others. Gaku finishing third wonders who Itsuki is. Hanyu takes interest in him, while Saya is shaken by the power gap. Itsuki's score places him first nationwide. Chao remarks that her father is delighted with the results. Iberia celebrates, proud that he did not shame the Joe's name, and Itsuki congratulates him with a goofy expression, leaving Iberia speechless. With the preliminaries concluded, Itsuki carries his passed-out friend on his back. Meanwhile, in District 1 of the Southern Continent, an old man named Balgur meditates in a square. A soldier complains about standing around, and a companion tells him to shut up. Balgur is a powerful prophet, respected despite only seeing fragments of the future, with a prophecy success rate of 10%. Suddenly, Balgur collapses, shouting that the Northern Continent is in danger. He reveals that a beast attack is imminent, and that one of the attackers is level 100, signaling a serious threat to the lands ahead. At night in a flower garden, Itsuki's total stats surpass 500 points, an extraordinary achievement considering the usual gain is only 50 points per level, making him comparable to a level 30 awakened. His passive skills steadily enhance his defense and agility, though his attack remains stagnant for now. He is then interrupted by a familiar voice as Rikuru calls him to eat, having prepared his favorite dishes. Deciding to set aside the issue of his missing attack skill, Itsuki joins everyone at the table for the meal. He notices a friend is absent and learns from Chaho that the friend was healed, but is still exhausted and sleeping. Rikuru expresses amazement that a level 7 like him passed a phase others could not. Suddenly, Saya becomes frightened, pointing behind Rikuru at a sinister shadow with a red eye. The creature ominously asks for food, but it is revealed to be Abiria, who simply woke up and joined the table. Rikuru is annoyed both at being startled and at Abiria eating without asking, while Abiria cheerfully asks for more food. The friend with glasses gets angry, questioning if Abiria wants to fight, but Abiria happily devours the meal, commenting on its deliciousness. Rikuru boasts that the food restored his energy, and Iberia suggests he should become a chef instead of a fighter. Nento then interrupts to ask the group about their greatest fears. Rikuru admits his dream is to be a savior and travel the world freely, so his fear is aging and losing the ability to enjoy life, particularly the sense of taste. Nento asks Seiya, who recounts her upbringing in a hospital, witnessing suffering from an early age, which has left her fearful of even minor illnesses. Itsuki sympathizes, understanding why she ran away when he sneezed previously, and Neno reassures her that awakened beings rarely fall ill and live long lives. Iberia shares that his greatest fear shifted from failing tournament qualifiers to not being able to fight alongside Itsuki. When the question turns to Itsuki, he admits he once feared surviving alone, overwhelmed by anger and sadness in the dark. Flashbacks show him crying until Saya and Rikuru found him, offering comfort with food. He recalls meeting Nento and even Iberia, realizing he had gained true companions, and reflects that his family had grown larger. He reveals that his greatest fear was living alone, now replaced by relief and calmness. Chao notices his gentle aura, and Iberia, moved, hugs him, promising never to leave. Nento explains the exercise aimed to determine whether they would regret becoming saviors, emphasizing that a savior's ultimate goal is to act without regrets, and urges them to finish the meal as Saya and Rikuru will depart the next day. The following morning, farewells are exchanged, and promises are made to reunite at the national tournament. Itsuki notices the newfound closeness between Iberia and Rikuru but chooses to focus on a question he has for Saya, postponing it for later. He then realizes Chao is missing, spotting her rushing urgently. Nento inquires, and Chaho explains she has critical information from the southern continent, accessible only to level 50 saviors. Nento permits her to share it, surprising Iberia with his trust. Chaho relays a prophecy from the southern commander. While Itsuki doubts its certainty, Iberia insists it is a confirmed future. Chaho urges her father to flee the north, but he declares himself the intended target, making him ideal bait to lure the beasts. She insists he escape, and Itsuki offers to fight instead. Nento intervenes, assigning Itsuki the mission of protecting Iberia's father, a master craftsman, rather than engaging directly in combat. Itsuki finds this unusual but complies. Nento then addresses Chaho, giving her 3 directives: first, to warn residents and evacuate low-level individuals safely, and with his red eyes, instructs her to summon Akira to District 1 of the North. This sequence establishes the growth and bonds of the characters, highlighting Itsuki's progression, emotional development, and emerging responsibilities, while setting the stage for a strategic mission involving protection and evacuation ahead of looming danger. Chaho then tells her father that she has already made the preparations and Akira is on his way. With a curious look, she continues to stare at her father without saying a word. Nento knows Chaho wants to know why he sent Itsuki there since Aiden already has guards. Feeling embarrassed, she realizes her father saw right through her intentions. Nento explains that a level 100 beast will appear and Itsuki would reveal his hand. Furthermore, he reveals that Itsuki lacks attack power, but Aiden has an artifact. With that item in hand, a perfect awakened will finally be born to fight. At 800 in the evening on the first day, the monoliths fall on the northern continent in District 2 of the North. Itsuki and Iberia run through the dark forest. Itsuki is worried because the beast could attack at any moment. Suddenly, Iberia gets startled and shouts for Itsuki to look at the sky. Itsuki then turns and also sees what spooked his friend. A flaming monolith crashes down right in the center of the city. A huge explosion of light occurs, consuming the surrounding buildings. Itsuki is concerned as the civilian evacuation is still underway. In the city, the awakened panic because the beasts arrived way too early. The barrier begins to form and Itsuki finds himself in a dilemma between the mission and the civilians. He knows Iberia is exhausted, but has not asked to stop because of his father. Iberia then says they should go help because without a strong awakened many will be lost. With a smile, Iberia changes the plans and Itsuki agrees to help. Suddenly, a stone fist erupts from the ground and attacks the awakened. A level 21 fire golem appears and faces the heroes. The group realizes the fight will be tough, even with 3 level 15s. One of the awakened uses his stone shield and tells everyone to hold the formation. With the shield in front, he tells the others to look for an opening to attack, but the golem unleashes a blast of fire and easily destroys the shield. The awakened is shocked as he did not expect so much power in a single blow. His friends panic because if the tank was defeated, they do not stand a chance. One of them tells everyone to run, saying that fighting is just throwing their lives away while smirking. Another says the coward is the one who needs to be careful here. Suddenly, he is surprised by a creature that appears behind him. Terrified, he begs for his life but uses his water cannon to attack. He brags about being the natural enemy of fire creatures but is defeated. His friends see the fallen golem and prepare to deliver the final blow, but the one who attacked gets cocky and says he will finish the beast himself. Suddenly, the golem gets back up and glares at the awakened with a look of hatred. The monster unleashes a massive fire blast and everyone thinks it is the end, but a wall of ice appears, protecting the awakened from the golem's attack. With the arrival of reinforcements, one of the awakened says everything will be okay now. Itsuki then tells Iberia to evacuate the civilians and his own defense increases. Iberia brags and says that one day he will be stronger than Taiwajin himself. One of the awakened gets annoyed by the boy's audacity and calls him a brat. The other awakened find Itsuki's ice armor strange. With his armor active, Itsuki remembers a piece of advice from his master. Nento had warned him that his black orb is powerful but too slow to be practical. He advised Itsuki to save the skill as a trump card for emergencies. Because of this, he cannot use his piercing orb in the middle of a crowd. With his armor and lightning, Itsuki charges straight at the golem. He lands a powerful kick, sending the monster flying with ease. His thunder wave is activated and he continues the combo on the enemy. The golem tries to fight back but cannot land a single hit on Itsuki. With a final punch, Itsuki slams the monster to the ground, kicking up a lot of dust. He then uses his lightning and delivers a final blow to the fallen golem. A huge explosion occurs and the monster is defeated in a single hit. The civilians are shocked and cannot believe a kid defeated the monster. One of the awakened is also stunned by Itsuki's power and does not understand how a level 21 golem could not even touch him. Itsuki then turns to leave and the awakened notice he is gone. One of them boasts that the kid only won because of their help. After the victory, Itsuki and Iberia continue on their way to find Aiden. Itsuki then realizes he needs to increase his attack power somehow. Iberia praises his friend's speed, but Itsuki says it means nothing without power. Tired, Iberia is surprised because he had never thought of it that way before. Itsuki then says there's a good way to increase his attack power. Iberia reveals that his father's workshop is full of artifacts to help his friend. With a goofy smile, he imagines Itsuki all geared up in incredible armor. Itsuki finds the laugh strange, but notices that his friend is very tired. Suddenly, he picks him up and tells his friend not to push himself so hard without waiting for a reply. Itsuki takes off running with Iberia in his arms. The night continues and the moon illuminates their path through the dark forest. They finally arrive and Iberia complains that his arms nearly fell off on the way. Iberia explains that his father is in the forest because the city is too noisy. He also reveals that the house is full of traps and Itsuki can sense the mana. His friend tells him to stay close, but Itsuki knows he can dodge them with his senses. With a smile, Iberia brags that it's finally his turn to lead the way. He then starts walking confidently along the path covered in dry leaves, but he gets carried away and forgets about a trap right in front of him. The ground starts to shake and Iberia panics at the most annoying trap. Suddenly, an epic iron golem emerges from the earth to attack. Itsuki's jaw drops as he didn't expect a humanoid artifact. Without wasting a moment, the creature charges and attacks Iberia with a powerful punch. But Itsuki dodges with a jump, saving his friend from the golem's blow. The impact of the punch creates a crater in the ground and kicks up a lot of dust. He gets annoyed that even an artifact has more attack power than him, but he can't destroy it. Itsuki then asks if there's a way to stop the creature. Iberia reveals that the karma stone on the golem's chest is its weak spot. With a smile, Itsuki activates his thunder wave and goes on the attack. With his speed, he dodges the blows and hits the golem's weak spot. He gets close and prepares to rip out the karma stone with his bare hands, deactivating it instantly. The creature then stops moving and stands motionless in the middle of the forest. With the stone in hand, Itsuki stares at the shadow of the defeated golem. Suddenly, Iberia yells, telling the strange figure to stop. The man who appeared out of nowhere attacks Itsuki with his giant sword. Itsuki dodges at the last second and the man is shocked by his speed. The man named Josuke apologizes and says he thought they were bandits. He wonders who Itsuki is since he didn't sense his mana until the attack. Itsuki is also surprised because the man's sword vanished. Iberia then introduces him and Itsuki asks where his father is. Josuke reveals that the master is out back and that they should be careful. With a furious look, Iberia's father stares at the boys without saying a word. Iberia brags to his father saying he passed the tournament qualifiers. He then demands the promised reward of choosing any artifact he wants, but suddenly his father slaps him across the face, leaving him in shock. Itsuki then asks why he hit him, and the old man gets even angrier. The craftsman yells at him, accusing him of stealing his dragon gear. The old man explains that using the armor for too long has serious consequences. Furious, Iberia swears he'll never use anything made by him again and storms off. The craftsman then turns to Itsuki and asks if he's Nento's student. Itsuki introduces himself and explains the reason for his visit. The old man finds it strange as Nento rarely takes on disciples to train. Suddenly, he notices something and stares at Itsuki with a surprised look. The screen shows that the old man realizes Itsuki's level is fixed. Aiden asks if he is faking his stats and Itsuki denies it. With a serious look, the old man understands why his master requested that specific item. He reveals that his master always demands something in return for his favors. Itsuki is confused because his master never mentioned anything about a deal. The old man then reveals that his master requested an item in exchange for protection. Itsuki is surprised and wonders why his master would ask for a defective product. The craftsman explains that the critical crystal was made to increase an awaken's attack, but suddenly a crack appeared and the item became a broken product. The broken critical crystal increases attack by 10 times and the critical rate resets. With the help of the item, Itsuki now has a way to boost his attack power. The old man understands his master's move and says the item is perfect for him. With the item in hand, Itsuki's attacks will be strengthened tenfold. He then equips the item and a golden aura completely envelops him. He realizes that the critical rate only increases by defeating stronger enemies. The screen shows the item's details and how it works for Itsuki. Itsuki says thanks and that the item will be a huge help. The old man says there's no need to thank him as they both fight for humanity. Suddenly an attack occurs and Josuke is sent flying by a single blow. Itsuki then dodges the attack and prepares for a fight. Iberia is startled by the surprise attack and wonders what just happened. Suddenly, a green barrier appears, surrounding the entire dark forest. The old man finds it strange since only the commanders of the 5 continents know his location. Josuke warns everyone to stay back because the beasts are coming, his eyes glowing. Itsuki senses something approaching at high speed. He can sense 6 monsters approaching, but suddenly there are 8. A level 14 horned demon appears and charges to attack. Itsuki dodges the blow and prepares to counterattack with his ice wall. He protects himself and easily defeats the creatures. He realizes he cannot use his lotus because the explosion could be dangerous. Josuke would also be hit as he is too close to the battle. On top of that, Iberia and his father are hiding in the cabin right behind him. The skill could hit them both, so he cannot risk it. In the midst of the monster horde, Itsuki realizes that fighting alone is better. Suddenly, he senses a new wave of magical power, much stronger than before. A level 24-2 Horned Guardian Beast emerges for the fight. Elsewhere, the demons prepare to send the first wave of attack. One of the leaders asks which of the 8 demon kings will command the main force. With an eye he left behind, he had noticed Itsuki's existence. One of the 8 demon kings is named Yama. Soon, the leader decides to send a demon general instead, not wanting to risk losing his eye. He then decides to hand over command of the main force to another demon named Inshokuma, also known as the man-eating ape.